Hello everyone! Today is a good day to make a video, my first video on my YouTube channel. My nickname is Internus and let's dive in. So, just to tell you a little bit of history, around 1 year ago I saw a break keys video about Godot engine and how to make a 2D game. So basically I decided to follow it and in 2 evenings I was able to replicate his progress. And I was really fascinated about it. And yeah, that's actually it for the introduction, my introduction to the game dev. After that 1 year passed, I've made no progress in that direction, and around that time, I believe 1 or 2 months ago, SpacetimeDB happened to release, and I was also fascinated about the idea how to that now it became so easy to make multiplayer games and I wanted to combine Godot and SpacetimeDB. So I've came back to my recent project, my first game kinda, and started adjusting it to work with SpacetimeDB. So also have a little bit of knowledge of Rust, so I will be using Godot Rust, so to kinda connect those two. So yeah, and officially this is my first dev log number one. So, okay, so today we're gonna discuss a multiplayer. Is it hard? Uh, the answer is yes, it is hard, and I will show you my progress. So, what is progress? My progress. So, oh, let's start with the first thing. So, how to make a multiplayer game? Firstly, you can just receive position of the remote player and teleport your kind of sprite to this position. Let's call it update. I do not like how it looks like, so let's update. So it's basically teleporting the guy to the position, and yeah, this is it. So let's take a look how it looks like. So here is the actual game on the local host. As you can see, the remote player is with this nickname, player 5310. He's just kind of jumping around and looks smooth, but still with some lag, but it is localhost. So let's take a look on another part. So now we can see how it works in cloud. And now we can see the main issue is jittering. There are a lot of lag, just a lot of lag. And it's just impossible to play the game in such a state. So yeah, what do we do about that? So how can we solve that? What is the next steps that I've tried? I decided to go to kind of another route that I know, and it is interpolation. The square is too small for that. Interpolation. So the core idea is that we have, instead of going straight line, so we kind of received 1.1, make it x1, and y is also, well, let's make it like that, whatever. And there will be a second position, so like this. We're gonna kind of interpolate it. So the idea is that we introduce more points. So instead of kind of teleporting the guy, let's teleport it more frequently in kind of between those 2 points. So instead of this, we're gonna do something like yeah, and because of interpolation, this becomes much more smoother. So this is the idea that we just introduce more points alongside the rod and kind of interpolate that. Of course, we will have to make those kind of turns. We will need to receive an update from the server. So on each of those peaks, let's imagine that we received first update. After that, we received here an update, here an update, and here an update. So, and because of the interpolation, we still were able to kind of smooth out the movement. So let's take a look how it looks like. But before that, we could try the Godot physics interpolation option to try to fix the thing. So in the settings, let's change it to quite a big value to try to fix the problem with teleporting and jittering. So let's run the game. And now we can see the actual gameplay. So it doesn't look good in any way. So still we see this issue with black and it doesn't work that good. So this is why we have to introduce the actual code to actually improve this movement process to make it smooth as good as possible. So now let's look on client interpolation. So now, as we can see, the movement of the remote player became much more smoother. It it looks kind of nice. Still there is some lag, still there is some jittering issue, but so far it looks much better than before. We have a smooth movement, we have just kind of nice looking game, kind of nice looking indie game. So now let's move to the third option is that I've kind of implemented is client-side prediction, CSP. Let's make it like that. Oh, and just client-side prediction. So what does it mean? That instead of receiving a position from the server, we receive inputs alongside. So this is a third option. But here is a disclaimer. Unfortunately, Godot engine for 2D rendering is not deterministic, and I cannot do it. I have to use different engine. It is my kind of first option, or I have to live with that and introduce correction. I decided to go kind of second route. So let's make it like that. Say that correction. So this is my option for client-side prediction. So I receive inputs and I correct the player movement based on his recent position. So yeah, let's take a look how it works. Now we can see the actual movement. Still, there is a bit of lag, but movement itself is much more smoother than it was before. So it looks like it kind of real. So still because of the desync, there could be some teleportation. It is because of the correction, basically. There are some parameters that I can tweak to make it kind of even smoother, but all the, nevertheless, I was able to achieve this native look. So I just stopped the video so you can just, we can summarize what I just said and what's the current state of the game. So I've implemented correction. We have this nice box here. It works nice. There are parameters to tweak to improve the smoothness and just avoid teleporting as much as possible. But with interpolation, there is no way we can get rid of jittering because of the network latency, packet loss, and other issues. With client-side prediction, it is the only reliable way to have this the 100% of smoothness because literally what you're doing is just rendering and using your local physics engine to render player movements. And yeah, there is no better option to make it as smooth as possible. In this case, I had to introduce correction because of the issues that I faced. But overall, we had right now the current state of the project that it works. It works. It's smooth enough. And yeah, let's move to the next steps and conclusion. So where do I go from this point? So now let's continue with the game and let's resume the demo. And here is the issue. So as you can see, the world is not synced. So platforms are not synced, and I want to fix it. I'll work on that too. Also, there is an issue with this correction. So if you move too fast, you will also you the remote guy could kind of fall, and this is the biggest problem. So there is this correction, and this is why it's not built so perfect. And here you saw this fall to the abyss. Still, in the end, it teleported back, but it is an issue, and we'll see if I am able to solve it. But for now, it's good enough for me. And yeah, also want to give credit to Breakies for introducing this nice thing to me, nice kind of challenge that I would like to face. And to you, viewer, who saw that. And yeah, so thank you guys. Have a nice day.